INFJs don't ghost. You know that. When they leave, it's more like a complete erasure, as if the relationship was filed away in a closed book no one opens again. To those on the other side, it can feel sudden, even brutal. But for the INFJ, it's the final step in a much longer process. In this video, we'll break down 12 psychological mechanisms that explain why INFJs detach so completely, and why once they walk away, they rarely return. By the end, you'll understand yourself more clearly if you're INFJ, or gain deeper insight into someone who left you. Before we start, please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe so you won't miss any of our weekly deep dives into the world of personality types. And if you are looking to achieve a deeper understanding of yourself and your personality type, click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test. Number 1. They've already processed the entire emotional journey before leaving. The first thing you need to know is this: INFJs don't leave on impulse. You process the entire emotional journey long before the final goodbye. Your intuition runs the relationship forward in your mind, replaying conversations, analyzing behavior, and gradually detaching until the outcome feels inevitable. By the time you step away, you've already mourned, accepted, and closed that chapter internally. To others, it may look abrupt, but you're simply ahead on the timeline. You seem distant, not because you don't care, but because the grieving work is already complete inside you. And that quiet mental rehearsal points to something even more decisive: the way INFJs draw the line when a relationship is no longer part of their story. Number 2, their all or nothing mindset creates complete mental separation. For you, there really is no middle ground. You either belong in the INFJ's inner circle, or you don't. That sharp division is how they keep their emotional world organized and protect their limited bandwidth. Ambiguity isn't just uncomfortable, it feels draining. Once an INFJ decides a connection has ended, their commitment flips into total detachment. Staying friends or revisiting the bond later rarely works because their mental framework has already shifted. Reversing that would mean rewriting their entire emotional understanding of you, and that is not something they will do. This all or nothing mindset isn't cruelty, it's a form of self-protection, and when it reaches its most extreme expression, it becomes the well-known INFJ door slam. Number 3. They use the famous INFJ door slam as emotional protection. The door slam functions as an emotional last line of defense. It isn't about walking away in anger. It's the final step after repeated boundary violations and growing emotional exhaustion. When an INFJ reaches this point, they don't just step back. They dismantle the path that once connected you to them. There are usually signals before this happens. They grow quieter. They begin to withdraw. Their availability shrinks. If those warnings are ignored, the decision becomes irreversible. When the door closes, reaching out only reinforces the silence. For an INFJ, this isn't vengeance, it's survival. And underneath it all is something even more decisive: their uncanny ability to sense where a relationship is headed long before anyone else sees the cracks. Number 4. Their intuitive abilities help them predict relationship outcomes early. INFJ intuition acts like a built-in pattern recognition system. You notice minor inconsistencies that point to larger problems, and your mind connects those subtle dots into a precise forecast of where things will lead. It isn't random guessing, it's subconscious data processing, refined by past experiences that proved you right more than once. When you sense a relationship won't last, you don't easily waver. You can't reason someone out of a gut feeling they trust because your intuition is built from repeated accurate readings. That's why promises or logical fixes often fall flat. You've already concluded where the story ends. And once that conclusion is reached, the next step is mental organization, categorizing people into established groups that rarely change. Number 5. They compartmentalize people into distinct mental categories. An INFJ's mind sorts people like a librarian filing books. Once placed on the shelf, they remain in their original position. The categories are unyielding but straightforward: trusted allies, pleasant acquaintances, and those who have disturbed their peace. This system isn't about grudges, it's about emotional efficiency. Shifting someone from one category to another is rare, and when it happens, it's usually permanent. That judgment comes from a deep reading of a person's character, not from fleeting moods or passing frustrations. Clarity matters more than second chances. For the INFJ, these mental divisions conserve precious energy. Once the file is closed, nothing reopens it, which is why, when separation finally comes, they can only heal through complete and total disconnection. Number 6. Their sensitive nature requires complete breaks to heal properly. Because of their sensitivity, INFJs don't just need distance, they need complete emotional quarantine to recover. Their nervous systems absorb the lingering energy of past connections, and even small contact can reopen the wound they're working hard to close. This is why a single well-meaning "how are you" text can derail progress. What feels harmless to others pulls the INFJ back into unfinished stories, reigniting neural pathways they're trying to rewrite. For them, partial contact isn't closure, it's disruption. The truth is simple: they need a total cutoff to heal because they carry emotional weight so deeply. No contact isn't punishment, it's treatment. And once that recovery has begun, turning back would feel less like comfort and more like betraying everything they just fought to regain. Number 7. They view going back as betraying their own growth and boundaries. For you, going back feels like undoing your own progress. Every step forward came from hard lessons and small victories over that deep pull to please others. To reverse course would mean betraying the very boundaries that finally allowed you to grow. That's why sentimental appeals rarely move you. Nostalgia can't outweigh the self-respect you fought for. You know that even a small compromise can cost more than it gives, because each line you drew was hard-won. If you want, pause for a moment and name one boundary you refuse to compromise. It's a way of honoring the integrity that holds you steady. This firmness isn't stubbornness, it's clarity. And that same clarity shapes how you handle endings, with precision instead of ambiguity. Number 8. Their perfectionist tendencies make them seek clean, final endings. INFJs prefer clean, final endings because ambiguity creates psychological friction. Their perfectionist streak pushes them to resolve relationships entirely rather than let them trail off in half-closure. Instead of dragging things out, they internally craft closure and then make a decisive break. That's why they often skip prolonged conversations. By the time they act, the conclusion has already been written in their mind. For them, doors left ajar only create tension. A complete ending doesn't mean the bond never mattered. It means it mattered enough to finish with honesty and precision. Finality lets them move forward. Messy endings trap them in replay. And with that energy freed, INFJs guard where it goes next, choosing carefully who truly deserves their investment. Number 9. They prioritize their energy for people who align with their values. INFJs restrict where their energy goes because so much of it is needed for their mission: deep connections, personal growth, and meaningful work. Their social energy works like a limited edition currency, spent only where it aligns with core values. This is why they often choose a few profound relationships instead of scattering themselves across dozens of surface-level ties. It's not about exclusion, but about stewardship. When someone no longer matches their guiding values, pouring into that bond feels like filling a cracked vase. It simply doesn't hold. For you, prioritization means saying yes only to what fits your internal compass, and no to what drains it. And this careful investment explains why reviving past connections feels less like restoration and more like depletion. Number 10. Their introverted nature makes re-engaging feel emotionally draining. Repairing an old bond costs you more energy than building a new one. As an introvert, every interaction pulls from a limited reserve, and rebuilding means revisiting old wounds and recalibrating trust, work that quickly drains you. A fresh connection feels lighter, no history to untangle, no broken patterns to restitch. Why spend scarce energy retying old knots when new threads are unspooled? For INFJs, efficiency matters, and trying to prop up what has already collapsed only multiplies the cost. That's why going back rarely feels worth it. Protecting your reserves means walking forward, not retracing steps. And the choice becomes even clearer once you recognize how easily you detect patterns in people, patterns that rarely change no matter what's promised later. Number 11. They see patterns that others miss and trust their initial judgment. For INFJs, every relationship becomes a compiled case file. Without even trying, you log details others brush past, like inconsistencies between words and actions, and the pattern builds quietly over time. Once a negative thread repeats, the data is stored, and no apology can erase it. This is why sudden shifts or temporary fixes rarely lead to lasting change. Months of subconscious observation hold more weight than a few improved gestures. It isn't arrogance, it's trust in the accuracy of your own record keeping. For someone who reads patterns, one excuse won't rewrite history. And it's that certainty in what you've seen that shapes another truth. Closeness itself can be dangerous when your empathy picks up every signal still left behind. Number 12. Their deep empathy requires distance to avoid being re-hurt. You don't just understand pain, you re-experience it when you're near the person who caused it. That's the cost of deep empathy. Every trace of emotion seeps in as if it were your own. For you, distance isn't avoidance, it's emotional first aid. Even brief or pleasant interactions can reopen the wound. Your empathy lacks an off switch, which means that casual contact can reopen what you've been struggling to heal. This is why total separation often feels like the only proper protection. Permanent silence can be a form of protection, not punishment. And once that silence is in place, the meaning of INFJ detachment becomes clear. Not rejection, but a necessary act of self-care. In conclusion, INFJ detachment is about direction, not punishment. It's the way you protect your growth and energy. For you as an INFJ, needing clean endings is self-care, not cruelty. And if you've been on the receiving end, respecting those boundaries means treating their exit as closure, not a door to reopen. Please hit the like button, comment, and subscribe. It helps more than you know, especially if you're an INFJ. Comment on which reason felt the most true to you. And if you haven't yet, click the link in the comments to take our favorite free personality test. If you want to continue the journey to understanding yourself or an INFJ in your life, click either of the following videos, where we continue to unlock the secrets of the INFJ personality type.